Hi guys, the other day I made this Chinese starter of cold chicken with spring onion oil and it was really tasty and easy. And you can do the most of it ahead of time too, so it's perfect for having friends over. Just stir fry up the spring onion oil right before serving. And no, for the life of me, I still can't use chopsticks. Start off by bringing about 2 litres of water to a rolling boil and add about a teaspoon of sea salt flakes. It can't be a gentle simmer here, it can't be lightly bubbling, it has to be boiling really vigorously. Then add a stick of cassia bark, a small stick. This is quite like cinnamon, except a bit milder, so if you can't find it, just use a cinnamon stick instead. Then add at least 3 star anise. I'm coming to the end of my bag of star anise now, so mine are all broken up and in bits, so I'm just going to add a small few of them. Add a generous tablespoon of Shaoxing wine or dry sherry if you can't find it. Now some fresh aromatics that I just bashed with the side of a knife. Start off with about 40 grams of ginger, skin on, the whites of 4 spring onions, and about 6 cloves of garlic. Bashing up the aromatics like this will really help release their flavour. Give that a stir and let it come up to the boil again, and let it boil for 5 minutes. Then I added 3 chicken legs with the skin on and the bone in. If you can find legs with the bone taken out, use them instead because it'll just make chopping a lot easier later on. Let that come up to the boil again and then allow it to boil for another 5 minutes before you clamp the lid on, turn off the heat and let it cool for 25 minutes. 25 minutes later, scoop out the chicken and place it into an empty saucepan and then cover it with cold water. Leave that for another 10 minutes or until it cools completely. Don't touch the stock yet though, you'll need it later. If you want, you can skim a little bit of that fat off. Once the legs had cooled, I dabbed them dry with some kitchen paper and then proceeded to make such a pig's ear of deboning them. When I couldn't find the boneless legs, I just used regular ones, thought it'd be no big deal, and I thought that butchering them would be easier after they were cooked, but now I'm not so sure. I think maybe I should have done this before I boiled them. Once you have removed the bones, turn it over so it's skin side up and slice it into chunky strips. Then transfer it to a serving bowl and try to make it look as neat as you can, neater than mine anyway, before you continue with the other legs. Once they're all on the serving dish and looking super neat, drizzle about a teaspoon of sesame seed oil over the legs and brush it in. I think this will look a lot neater actually if you boil the chicken off the bone, but then it's probably bound to. Though you actually don't need to worry how it looks at this stage because you will be drizzling over a green spring onion oil later. Now bring back the spring onions you used earlier, you use the whites for them to make the stock, and just chop them up. Now take another knob of fresh ginger and peel back the skin so that you can finely grate it. You only need about 2 teaspoons of finely grated ginger here. Then just set that aside until right before serving. Then place a frying pan or a wok over a really high heat and add 3 tablespoons of cooking oil. I'm using rapeseed oil here, but use any one that's kind of flavourless. Once the oil is really hot and shimmering, go in with your spring onion greens and ginger. Stir for just a few seconds before you turn off the heat and stir for another minute or 2, but you don't want these to lose their colour. You want the spring onions to stay green. Now bring back the chicken stock from earlier. I actually added the bones from the legs back to the stock and boiled it up. So now ladle about 150 milliliters into the frying pan with the onions. Let that come to the boil and season with another good pinch of sea salt flakes and a generous pinch of ground white pepper. Stir that in and then taste to check for seasoning. It ought to be quite salty here because this is the only seasoning the chicken is going to get. Once you're happy with it, take it off the heat and pour it over the now cold chicken and serve. This is kind of a shared starter, so let everyone dig in themselves. So that's it. Thanks a million for watching guys. I hope you liked this video. If you did, be sure to hit the like and subscribe buttons below. You can check me out on social media if you like. All the links to my accounts are in the description, as well as the link to my blog where you'll find this full recipe at www.rookiecook.org.